you'll start feeling that, noticing that, wow, hey, with this person, somehow I always get triggered. Yeah, one of the very common words. I always get very triggered. Yeah, when this person comes into the room or says something, I become very upset.
Bro,
Very.
I can totally relate to that, man. I can totally relate to that. Yeah. So that's
as long as a human being, you will experience this.
Correct. So okay. Any quick tip? Let's say. Okay, I'm just recording. Okay, let me just start first. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, today I have with me a very special guest. Remember, I talked about stories, right? So stories is an integral part of my life because I teach this primary school children. I teach them math, I teach them science. Now, the thing I find most difficult is inputting the information and content in their head. So one of the things that I use a lot of is I use stories, right? So I realized that stories really does help them understand things. Sometimes I use metaphors, and metaphors are also a form of story, I think. Yeah. So it helps them to understand things very quickly. So when it comes to telling stories, talking about how to make stories interesting, right? There's only one person I have in mind, and it is my good friend, Mr. Ellery. Now, a little bit about his background. Now, all students, I'm very sure you have gone through and you have heard of this thing called NE, right? National.
We might have been forced.
You see? Oh, that's him right there. Right? So, NE to me, honestly, NE is the most difficult thing to how should I put it? To teach. To teach, because if it is facts, if it is math, if it is science, I can tell them like, hey, it's like that. Can you see this thing? This is an atom. This is a molecule. But right now, you need to not only teach them about history, you also need them to be able to appreciate, right? And not only that, it's on such a big scale, emotions involved and all these things. You really need to be able to tell the story very well. All right. So I think Ellery and his team has done a very good job, right, of inculcating that in schools. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Mr. Ellery over there.
Thank you, bro, for your very intro.
Yeah, it's true. I really
it
think
remains to be seen whether we damage any students along the way.
No. Okay. You see, for all my P5, P6 students, right? I every time I ask them, do you know NE? Everyone say they know. They have heard of NE. They know what NE is all about, and they have a feel. They got this feel for this for the nation after going through the NE thing. So I am quite sure, it may not be 100% successful, right? But I think to a large extent, the way that your team used this storytelling thing, can you go? So storytelling thing, the concept of storytelling, the concept of making them tell the story to their friends is a master stroke. It's a genius stroke. Can you? Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Before we go to the other part, the ontological part, maybe just give us a bit more insight and inside. What do you call that? Inside snoop. Inside tales.
Inside look.
Yeah. Stories. What are some of the stories you can tell us about your journey in this anything?
Okay, so maybe like a little bit of so anyway, for you who's watching, so before this we had a little chat, so I briefly shared this like how this whole thing started. So NEmation, if you follow it, right, it has been around for like 15 years already. All right. We always say it's as old as my company because we're very blessed to have the project during our first year. So back then, when it wasn't even called NEmation, what happened was that MINDEF, right, Ministry of Defense. For those of you who didn't know, right, there's no like total defense branch sitting somewhere. It's actually under MINDEF. Yeah. So MINDEF came to our alma mater, which is Nanyang Polytechnic. So essentially, they were looking for collaboration to help them create a series of animation. So NYP was very stretched then. So what they did was that, hey, we can't do it, but there are these three guys, which is me and my two business partners, who just set up this animation company. I don't know what the hell they're doing. Okay, something about animation training, and they're trying to get primary school and secondary students to go and do animation, which back then was a bit like that lah. Not many people doing it. Maybe we were the only ones doing.
Yeah.
So they said, yeah, why not you go look for them? So MINDEF came looking for us, and then we say, first year of business, anything also can do one. Yeah. So he said, okay lah, we can do that. And then as we discuss and brainstorm with MINDEF, we came up with the idea since you already came to us, would you be game, right, if you actually got students, the students to actually do the animation. So as we're teaching them, we are also always maintaining the boundary. We cannot do things for them. Yeah.
Correct.
So there's this tension, but it's a tension that we have so-called perfected over the years. This dance. Yeah.
Correct. So when I just add, sorry. So I just want to add a bit more. So you talk about the tension between you helping them to do and then they doing it themselves. Even as a teacher, tutor myself, right? I'm sure a lot of tutors, teachers, or even parents, they definitely face this tension as well. Should I help the kid or should I let the kid go and do? But I look at the kid really don't know. No. Then at this point of time, do I do or do I let them, go and figure out for themselves? Right? So you all have perfected it throughout the over the years, right? When I think it's a bit same like parenthood, coaching. Over the years you will know, hey, this one can teach. Hey, no, this one you should let them go and figure out themselves. I think that's a very good point. Yeah.
And it's also a very good learning with every batch of students that we meet. It's also there's also a lot of trust going on that they trusting us. So what this means, right? If I put it in the context, and if there's any parents who are closely involved with their kids, or maybe the kids who are watching right now, they may know that most competitions that you might go to, right, is pretty much on your own. I mean, you may have a teacher supporting you and stuff like that. But for us, right, because there's this tension of like this guidance, so the students have to sort of trust us for the guidance. And I'm saying this specifically for the final top 10 teams that end up inside an animation studio with us. So imagine, right, you are somehow selected for top 10 based on your story, but you don't know anything about animation.
That's
right. When you enter most competitions, right, like let's say a drawing competition, you already know how to draw. So you got some kind of like, confidence. That's why I'm here.
Now they're starting from scratch, right? Totally zilp. Then they gotta learn everything from scratch. Exactly.
And during that time, where we work on the stories to actually massage these changes in, right, it's also the examination time where the students can be touched.
So I guess you see, so apart from academics, you see, at this point of time, what they have to do is they also have to juggle their CCA, they have to juggle this competition, they have to juggle learning new things, the entire animation software. Definitely, how should I put it? They need to have a bit of resilience, right? They need to have a bit of
Thank you. I was gonna go there.
Resilience. Okay. Like for example, this whole Zoom thing, right? Like even as a tutor myself, like suddenly government say, hey, you cannot operate the tuition center anymore. I was like, what? So within that actually they gave us 2 days. Wow, they gave us 2 days.
So generous.
2 days, government is watching this. 2 days to go and figure out how to do all this. So luckily for us, for me, myself, I've been doing this for quite a while. But all the tutors, I need to go and teach them within 2 days. Okay, now do this, and then we hit so much. How should I put it? Obstacles. Without resilience, and the can-do spirit. I think we have. Okay, I'm not saying that I'm very resilient and all this stuff. Right? I'm just saying that I think it comes with experience. It comes with many years of you get a bit of setback here and there, and then after that, okay, never mind. You forgive the situation and stuff like that. So actually, what I also know is that apart from doing this Annie and a story, you are also an ontological coach, correct?
Yeah.
And yeah, where you help individuals to be resilient and thrive in how should I put it? Environments that are not the usual kind, that is not the norm, right? And in fact, there's something that I want to pick your brain on. Apart from stories, okay, I want to know how you teach. How is it possible? Okay, first question. What exactly is an ontological coach? Maybe we start with that first. What is an ontological coach?
Okay, sure. So the word comes from ontology, all right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people, when they first heard it, right, they might mistake it for oncology, which is, if I'm not wrong, like you're trying to cure cancer.
Okay.
Which I'm not doing, right? So ontology, if you go and Google online, right, you might, at this moment, you might come up with some pretty weird stuff. Then there's even a rabbit hole where it's headed towards metaphysics. Also have, So where it concerns coaching, right, or at least the school that I was trained in, right, ontological coaching is basically okay. So first of all, coaching, right. A lot of people might have heard this word before, but for us, coaching is basically a conversation like this, one-to-one or maybe one to a few persons, where we create learning, on-the-spot learning for the individual. So for example, if you were my coaching client, our purpose, right, is to have a conversation that helps you learn new things, learn new things about what.
Okay.
Learn new things in order to tackle maybe a recurring challenge. Like, for example, a very common one is people work with their colleagues or their boss, and then very soon you'll start feeling that, noticing that, wow, hey, with this person, somehow I always get triggered. Yeah, one of the very common words. I always get very triggered. Yeah, when this person comes into the room or says something, I become very upset. Very.
I can totally relate to that, man. I can totally relate to that. Yeah. So that's
as long as a human being, you will experience this.
Correct. So okay. Any quick tip? Let's say, because okay, you see now all of us, is thrown into this COVID-19 situation where we are suddenly, last time we are very used to a schedule. Now, all of a sudden I don't have this schedule anymore. I need to accommodate this schedule. Then now everyone's staying together. Wow, a lot of changes, all this stuff. Yeah. Any quick tip for parents, for even students? What can they do? In this type of maybe from the emotion aspect, or any quick tip to manage this type of trigger. Well, I like the word, man. Trigger is a word not just I use. My students also use. I'm not kidding. My side one student can be like, oh, teacher, he trigger me, They're like, hey, what trigger? What did he do? He didn't do anything. He was just doing his stuff. You trigger yourself. That's why I thought. Okay, any quick tip?
Okay, so firstly, right, I totally regret not specifying to you. Don't ask me for quick tips because it's very complicated.
Okay.
But
never mind.
Okay, but there are things that that we can be aware of. Okay, so actually, when you say that even your Sec 1 students, they seem to relate to this and they can say, "Wow, that guy triggered me." Right? Okay, so most of the time in my experience, what people are referring to is a feeling, is a surge of emotions. Yeah. So having dealt with a lot of students myself also through Animation and all that, so I can also relate to it in a sense that sometimes I have to handle like the conflicts between students. So I will hear things like, wow, he triggered me, or he make me angry, he make me sad, and in a lot of ways it's no different from what older human beings will also experience, right? That's why you also say,
yes,
the word trigger also.
I totally get it, man.
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting because I thought I caught some nice bit of awareness from you earlier on. Just now when you said that, oh, it's not he trigger you. It's actually
You
what did you say?
trigger yourself because he's doing
You
his
trigger.
normal stuff. He's just
Yeah.
being himself, you see.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
his normal self somehow triggered you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Correct.
So the thing is that emotions, right, are actually a message, an internal message. So when you feel, for example, the very common one is anger, angry, all right? Anger, right, is actually an emotion that tries to protect.
Mm. Yeah.
Anger is a kind of emotion that tells you, right, a boundary, a standard, a rule has been trespassed, has been violated.
Okay.
Yeah. So when we feel anger, it is always in if the person can actually pause in a moment and say, yes, I recognize I'm angry now. And then if they have this information that, hey, anger is about protecting something, then with that awareness, right, they can pause and then they can think, so why am I angry now? What is important to me here that I am trying to protect, that I'm trying to maintain, that I'm trying to uphold? Yeah. It could be a loved one. It could be your own safety, your own well-being. It could be a physical item, whatever it is. Yeah.
I got this inspiration. Do you think it is related to the kind of stories that they've been telling themselves? You know, we started off with stories, right? At the beginning, we started off with storytelling because stories are so compelling. People remember stories. They don't remember the facts and all that stuff, but they remember stories. So I'm just thinking, or maybe through our first conversation, you could have told me something like, there are some people who tell stories to themselves, and the story is always stuck in their head. That is the truth. Do you think it's something like that? Is it something like that?
Yeah, you are spot on. So every emotion, no matter what kind of emotion it is, right, there is actually a story behind it. Except that story, right, is okay. So number one, right, here's the thing: the story is already installed in your head, long before the so-called trigger. It could have been installed by the world. Okay, so now I talk a bit more abstractly, and a bit more generally. The world could be anything outside of you. Your parents, your teachers, media, what you see on TV, movies, whatever, your classmate, your colleague, whatever. It could have been a story that repeated enough, or maybe repeated once, and then it just left an impression on you, and then it got in here. Or it could be certain things that you saw around, and then you created a story to make meaning of what you're seeing, and then it got installed in here. Yeah. So when somebody comes along and does this thing, okay, for example, okay, so since we are talking to parents, right, one of the very decisive things, right, that immediately brings up stories for people, right, is okay, is it okay to say smack your child?
Oh, okay.
So some people, some parents will immediately say, no, I will never touch my child like that. Then you speak to some other people, right, they will say, no, you must beat the kid, if he's angry, she's angry, you must whack the shit out of the, in order to teach you.
That's my parents, the olden days, right? Because their story is different, right? Their story for the olden days, well, my parent did this and stuff like that, so I should also do this. Oh, yeah, that's the story part.
Yeah, correct. So some of these stories, right, can be so deeply ingrained. Maybe because that's the first story we ever heard as a child. And as we grew up, right, that is the same story we heard consistently. Or maybe it could even be the story that we live as our experience. So we are the same generation. Our culture, I think, from what we know of each other is quite similar. At least in the sense that we are the generation who was brought up by smacking one.
Yeah, right? And we are the Dragon Ball generation, right?
Dragon Ball generation.
Dragon Ball generation, they keep changing form, they keep getting whacked, and then they come back again. Bro, I think that's resilience, I think Dragon Ball teach me resilience,
Depends on which character you are
because
the fan of.
That's a great story, right? The guy, and then the guy the hero doesn't die. He always he'll get whacked. Yeah. Anyway,
yeah.
It's a form of story. Yeah,
And
then maybe they should reintroduce Dragon Ball. Just but actually it's still ongoing, right? Dragon Ball. Just,
it
I don't
is.
know.
It
Yeah,
is.
I think
Yeah,
so.
it is.
But nowadays they watch
Yeah.
other stuff. That's why it could be different. Okay, anyway, a bit too far off already. Okay, let's come back to here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Since stories is such an powerful tool, it's such a powerful tool, right?
Mm,
So what do you think are some of the
mm,
helpful things that probably you can offer to parents during this circuit breaker period, since you are the
mm.
ontological coach, and we know that story is such a powerful tool.
So to continue and also wrap up what we're talking about before Dragon Ball came in.
Sorry,
Uh,
got a bit carried away.
yeah. I was also carried away because I'm also a Dragon Ball fan. Yeah. So noticing the story. Okay, so number one, just being aware that your emotions are being driven by stories. And it's your story, not the story of the person who triggered you. Yeah. So remember the example that I brought up from what you said just now. You're very right. When you're getting triggered, when you're getting emotional, it is your own trigger, and there's a story behind that trigger. So pause and just be aware, what emotion am I feeling right now? Yeah. So we briefly covered anger. So for example, anger is like, protecting something. Yeah. So when you start going into that, then you can start to appreciate what needs you have behind the emotion. So you can very quickly turn things around. So for example, the first reaction may be anger. All right. Sure. Acknowledge that anger. But if you have the awareness to then ask yourself, right, what are you trying to protect? So the moment you say protect, right, you notice that we start going into the area of care. Because anger is commonly associated with the flaring up and then like, wow,
Hey, well, that scared
Yeah.
me for.
Yeah. That is
got
anger.
correct.
Yeah. Yeah. So people ask like, hey, so how do I get out of this anger? So if you can actually be aware of the fact that you're actually trying to protect something, then you start moving to care. Yeah. Then when you start moving to care, right, then you can start asking like, oh, what is this thing that I'm trying to care for? And a lot of the times, right, there's this saying that all problems, right, when you trace it, right, is down to interpersonal problems. Interpersonal, that means between people.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. So I can bet you, right, 80 to 90% of the time, right, you're trying to protect somebody else important to you, or you're trying to protect your own needs.
Yeah.
And both are equally valid.
Correct.
And when you can, sorry, yeah.
I mean, suddenly I remember something. It's like I used to have a student who doesn't. Every time I ask him to do his math, he will always say, "I don't know." That means he don't even want to do. So let's say if I try to be a bit hard on him, I say, "Okay, I want you to go and do it." Then he suddenly become very frustrated, and then it dawned on me that, hey, is he trying to protect something or not? When you said that, that there's something that's because he's using his anger, he's using his frustration to hide something. So perhaps, and then what I did was, I think I started asking other questions like is it something else? Is it because you really don't know how to do, or are you trying to protect something else, right? So and then from more conversation with him, I realized that it's actually his ego. I don't know if that translates to what you're trying to say. He's trying to protect his ego.
He doesn't want to get something wrong, is it?
Yeah, he doesn't want to get wrong. So the only way to not get wrong is to don't do.
Yeah. You can't fail when you don't try.
Correct. And then when he gets frustrated because even without trying, he thinks that he gets wrong. So he's just trying to protect his ego. So if as a tutor or as a parent, we care, you mentioned about care, right? Instead of getting frustrated with him, why he do this, I switch to, okay, maybe he care. Okay, let's care a bit more about him. Let's care a bit more about his ego. Is that how it's being translated from based on my understanding of what I just said? That means stop getting angry with him. Like, hey, wow, you lazy boy, you don't know. Let's just switch a bit. Okay, let's care about, are you protecting something? Okay, what are you protecting? Protecting his own feeling, protecting his own ego. Then maybe from there we would switch our approach, and then maybe from there he will feel safe. And then he
that is a great keyword, the safety.
Yeah. So he will feel safe, and then he doesn't feel so threatened anymore. And when he does not feel so threatened, right? Maybe he'll take the first step to do one or two, and then slowly improve from there. Is that an example based on what you said?
I think that's a great interpretation. I think you should also go and coach.
No, this is based on my own experience, because it's because of what you said. You talk about switching from frustration to care, and then suddenly, maybe a lot of teachers, a lot of tutors are already practicing something like that, right? It's just that they are not being they just call it this experience, right? They don't really go and pen it down. They don't really go and study whatever they're doing. They just call it experience. So I think that's a very good nugget of information that you've given us. Is there anywhere that our audience here can find more of your work? Because frustration, this triggering, kids want to do, all these are very common questions that as a tutor I get a lot of, right? So where else do you think we can find more of your work? And then maybe you can read out a bit more.
Okay. So I am just one of the messengers of this so-called school of thought. Yeah. So for anyone who's interested and curious, right, there's actually a huge amount of literature already out there. Yeah. But if you want something that is contextualized through the way that I look at the world, one place to go to is my website, all right, elleryng.com, all right. Maybe Han Chen can actually put that in his show notes, in the captions. One of the things that I work a bit guilty to say this. One of the places where I do more consistent work than on my website is actually my Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah. So
you can give us your, what do you call that, the handle, is it?
Yes, the handle.
Yeah. If you don't mind, you can share. I'm okay. We just put it there.
It's Elng, ELNG.coach. Yeah. So there what I try to do is okay, so for those of you who are using Instagram, they have this function called carousel, which is basically the ability to upload up to 10 photos in one post. So normally when you scroll through, I know some people actually need this explanation. When you scroll through, right, you see normally single pictures. But okay, when you look closely at a lot of these posts, right, actually can be scrolled sideways. So it becomes like a series of slides. So what I took to doing was basically I make use of this, and within 10 little pictures, right, I try to summarize and express the one nugget of wisdom. Yeah. So that's something that I've been enjoying doing, because it sort of like combines my designer or artist background with what I'm doing right now. So for those of you who are curious, you can also go there and take a look. And if you find there's not enough stuff, please message me and give me a kick in the butt and ask me to make more stuff.
Okay. So for those who don't know, right, actually some of the my own Instagram stuff, right, I actually copy from this fella. All right, so make sure.
I'm not
I follow your, what do you call that, the horizontal thing. Right? Remember, I messaged you like how to do that. Then immediately I went to do one of that. Right. So his Instagram handle, once again, el.ng.coach, right?
elng.coach.
elng.coach. Okay, make sure you go and click, what do you call that? Add, follow. Make sure you go and follow. I guarantee you there's plenty of information, there's plenty of good stuff that you can see from his Instagram handle. Okay, so actually that's all the time I have here. I'd like to thank Mr. Ellery for taking time off his busy schedule, right, to have this very short interview with us, right? So thank you, man. Thanks a lot. Can we do a high five?
Thank you, Hansen. How?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
this
like,
way.
I
Not
don't
bad,
know.
not bad.
Is it? Is it? Okay,
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 yeah.
can. All right, so I see you soon.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you, Hansen.
bye.